All right, Shanaz. Wow, why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are? Oh, and I should tell you a little about Much Adoge About Nothing first, huh?
Yeah.
So, Much Adoge About Nothing is a play on the play on the Shakespeare play Much Ado About Nothing, except with Doge. It was
hmm
based off of Hella Doge and like all the interesting people that are on there. So, I want to like interview these people who are doing interesting things and like basically hear about their life story.
That's interesting.
So, who
Yeah.
is Shanaz Khan?
Well, to my family, I'm just, a daughter, a aunt, a granddaughter. To the world, I'm like a best friend, a mentor, like any a person you can come to if you like, want to discuss and talk about things. That's me. But most importantly, I'd say I like to think I'm a problem solver. So I like to solve things like that are complex and make them more simple than what they are. I believe that's me.
You're a priest.
Yeah. Well, priests have different connotations, right? What's, currently being, we call it associated with them as we speak. Predominantly, oh, hang on. Yeah, priests are like predominantly known, to being like child molesters and so forth. But yeah, I don't want to be known as that.
Well, where were you born, Shanaz?
So I'm born here in the United Kingdom, in London, England.
Oh, London, nice.
Yeah, in the actual capital city. Because I know when I speak with everyone from around the world, and they're just like, "Well, where are you from?" And I'm just like, yeah, London, England." But they always assume that the whole of the United Kingdom is called London. So I have to say, no, no, no. The capital is called London, but was split up into between like four other nations. With like United Kingdom, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and England.
You gotta
And I
be
have to like,
specific with them, huh?
yeah, I just have to like let them know, just like, hey,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
from
Uh,
England, in the capital of England, London. Just like, oh.
where'd you go to high school?
So I went to a high school called Rooksheath High School, but I believe they changed it to Rooksheath uh, College of Business and Enterprise. Just,
Uh,
I think before we left or just after, because I hear about this after when my friends and their younger siblings and they attend and they tell me, and I'm just like, oh, a lot has changed since we left.
yeah.
Yeah.
What was high school like for you?
High school was, how can I say, it was all right. It was like, it was, I would say it was a bit different compared to my other friends when they tell me that how they have one particular timetable, but whereas, and they stick through that throughout the whole year long, right? The whole like semester, the whole terms and the term year, academic year. But whereas us, like for me, I remember having two different timetables, so like week one and week two, and you'd have to remember like to bring everything that you have for week one. And if you miss out stuff that if you're on week two, right, and then you have the and then you accidentally bring something for week one that wasn't supposed to be for week two timetable slot, I remember they just tell you off and just write you up and you'd get like a detention.
Yeah, my school had the 2 week timetable too.
Really? Like week one or week two and they alternate?
Yes, that's the system we had.
So you're probably the first other person that I've ever known about this apart from my own siblings and friends.
Really, I think it's a normal system for IB schools.
No, it was just ours like that I knew of. Everyone else just like no, they just had one particular timetable. And I was just like,
Huh.
what? I feel like I'm going insane here. Someone has to like relate to this.
Yeah, yeah, we had a 2 week schedule, week one and week two. and it just alternated back and forth. There wasn't like one particular timetable that you had for the entire semester.
Yeah, because I remember like hearing about this, and my friends would be like, "No, we just had one." And I was just like, "You're so lucky." The stress that you had, especially if we had PE or we had food cooking, right? It was
Hmm.
like the panic because the teacher would actually be really strict, and she'd be like, "Where's your ingredients? Right, link book. Yeah, give me your link book," and we'd write you up, and you're just like, "Oh gosh." And then they'd use the whole thing of like, you're you're 15, you should be responsible for your actions. So like, yeah, and then there's only so much you can just think about. You're just like, yeah, I actually generally forgot.
No, the key is you just have to carry everything in your backpack all the time. You got to carry that like that 40-pound weight around you.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that because there'd be some lessons, right, that you'd have books for, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. It's just too much. It's
What
like
was life like for you in high school?
life is all right.
You know, like
I do
what would
remember.
you do and stuff?
No, I do remember because I would get like colds a lot. So like every other week, yeah, when my friends would be like, yeah, oh, we did this, we did this. I'm just like, I was there at home like sick and recovering from a cold because someone gave it to me, some neighbor or some like business associate. I'm like, really, I'm sick again. But yeah, high
Oh,
school was like amazing because you learned a lot. I wouldn't say I was an outsider, but like I connected with every single person.
hmm.
So that was one of the coolest things. Like to be able to walk away with that, and then it's played a hand in real life when it came to like networking. I'm easily able to like strike out conversations, find everyone's like mutual meeting point and like ground points to like talk on. So I believe that was like a big factor to play in. But I like to say, yeah, that's from that. But then also I believe like majority is from like my culture and my background, where my parents are from, had a like big hand in play in that.
Do you feel like that skill has like helped you, in post college and like your career?
It has, because like I said, like with networking, right?
Hmm.
Networking goes a long way. If if you're like invited to an event, yeah, it could be a bit daunting and so forth, but then you kind of have to like push yourself out of that comfort zone and be able to like talk with people and just be like, hey, like, you know, tell me a bit about you. Then you find, everyone will starts off with like the usual, hey, how are you? And then you move on to like what you do for work and so forth. And then that's when the conversation like truly flows, I find. Because then it's up to both like sides to say, to move it along, to get it going, to be like, okay, well, hey, you're interested in this, and from your work, have you heard about this latest story? And then you end up falling down a rabbit hole of conversations, and then soon enough you have like a group of other people like joining in, and you're just like, yeah, let's bring the like whole group together. Let's have our own
Mm,
individual panel talk.
yeah, it is like a panel talk.
mm. What about you?
I was kind of the same way. I had my friends, but our class was kind of segment. It was a small graduating class. It was like 45 people, but
Mm-hmm.
it was like the Russians would hang out with the Russians, the Koreans would hang out with the Koreans, the English speakers would hang out with the English speakers, and the locals with the locals. But I was like one of the few people that tried to involve everyone, and I would be the person that spoke to everyone because I didn't want to. I don't know. I never realized the clicks until like looking back on it. It never really registered to me.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of the times it's because of movies that make you realize like, hey, actually high school there are cliques. So you kind of question like, which clique was I part of, and so forth.
Yeah, I was probably part of like the burnout clique or something.
Oh,
I I don't recall being the academically best student. I had a teacher tell me I'm a great person, but I'm not the greatest student.
Oh.
There was a talk for like the seniors to speak to the incoming like IB students, and
Mm-hmm.
like I signed up to talk to them, but like they didn't let me do that. They're like, we probably don't want you being a spokesperson for that.
That's a bit mean.
It's a bit rude, yeah, isn't it? But I mean, that doesn't bother me. They'll see me later on the cover of Forbes, and they'll be like, maybe we should have let him talk.
Yeah, that's, you know what? I found exactly that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your schools and so forth, like whichever alumni you're part of a network, it's like they don't care about the students. And all of a sudden your name's in the press, then all of a sudden they like tend to just like rope your name and write off about you, say, hey, this student was one of the best, look at them being part of this social like society and so forth. And you're just thinking, when you finally discover it and you read it, you're just like, what? Like,
Has that happened to you?
not to me, but like luckily, well, actually, kind of, because I think my college one, they wrote about me, and I was just like, oh, but bear in mind, I was actually doing something good for them because we were doing like a corporate video, so we were written
Oh,
up about, and then we were talked about in the local borough's press. So I was thinking, oh hey, yay, I'm in the like public press, and they were just like, yeah, very lucky to have like be part of a student base and so forth. So I'm like, this
this
is good,
person
but
would
then
have never been who they were if it was not for their education at so and so school.
yeah, because like I've noticed what was it? So the guy I think from Serum Industries, right? Um, Adar Poonwala, so he actually went to our business school, and then it's so weird because they've never ever covered him at all. Then all of a sudden, it was announced that how you know his company, his father's company, the one that he's managing is, I think, is doing like the vaccine.
Uh-huh.
All of a sudden our university was like, he was a brilliant student from like the late 90s or early 2000s. We could have asked for a better like alumni to be representing us. You can tell like how diverse our university is and how much connections we have globally. I'm just like, yeah.
That's
You're trying to get
hilarious.
your name in the press more.
I mean, you can't blame them. They graduate like hundreds of students a year or something, right? So they can't write about everyone. So when they
Yeah, they're
see their
probably
chance, they grab it.
yeah, they're probably just going through like the database. So just like, let's check up about this student.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Arjun would have never been the management mogul he was if it wasn't for his education here.
Mm. It's just so
Man,
funny about it. And I'm just like, oh, look at them.
it's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what else would you like do outside of school during high school?
So like I did quite a lot. I believe like I did I was part of a weekend sort of group called Stagecoach. So they were acting and performance group.
Oh,
Hang on, bear with me.
no, I took theater in high school.
Yeah, it's just because like I was part of that. So it was like a weekly thing for a term. And then I guess I was just too hyper as a child. So I had a lot of energy. So I guess my parents were just like, okay, well you channel it towards this, right? You do
Uh-huh.
this, burn off your excess energy. But to this day, it's one of the best, when I look back at it, it's one of these best like after school or weekly activity I've ever done, because like the friends I've made there have gone on to achieve so many good things.
Hmm.
Because I believe one of them, who was like older than me, hang on, yeah, one of them who's gone on, she's gone on to become a doctor. I believe like she helped serve on the like front lines when during the height of the pandemic. One of them as well graduated from theater school, like, well, film school or drama school, whatever you call it. And then I believe she was recently cast in a like production up in Manchester. So I'm thinking, well, they, like just to read about how good they're all doing is just like, yeah, I'm proud of them. I'm proud of their success, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
that's
I believe
awesome.
one of my as well because we went to the same high school as well. Um, yeah, we went to the same high school, so it's so funny because like he ended up going, I believe, to either Oxford or Cambridge University, and I believe he was offered like a place there. Like they actually reached out, so I was like, "Hey, this is my friend Curtis. Like he's done really good."
Yeah, you can't wait to see your school write about him later.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I can't. You know what? But I'm really terrible though, because like, yeah, I know like how good they've done, but I try and force myself to keep it to a point of actually checking in with everyone to make sure like, hey, like because I know during like the pandemic everyone went through a phase where they were so isolated, they like didn't know how to like who should reach out to, like the mental health and so forth. So I
Hmm.
try and make it a point to like reach out to people that I haven't been in contact with to say, hey, like, if you ever want to talk, like I'm here. Just so you don't get like too lonely and you feel like you don't have anyone to reach out to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
After high school, well, where'd you go for college?
So I went to my college called Harrow College. So it was up on the Wheelstone campus. So that was great as well because like they were again leading industry professions. So I went from it was so weird because I went to like wanting to do business, like, be thinking actually I think I'm gonna do media now, media studies.
Oh,
And it was so great. I did this, but the only thing I've learned was that you're literally just working 24/7. From what I've compared from my my from college to university was the workload. I found myself like I remember just conducting this like brief study. I think I found myself only having like 3 hours sleep a day when I was at college compared to when I was at university. I believe it was like a roughly around 4 to 5 hours. So I was like, I'm so grateful for the extra like couple hours of sleep, right? But again, putting that aside, like going back to college, yeah, because I did media studies, so we had like these great lecturers. I believe one of them was actually an award-winning film producer, and then another one he worked within like the BBC, so he had connections with Colin Salmon, one of the actors, I believe, from The Hustle, The Real Hustle. There's a British show over here, and then again another guy who I don't know. I think he kind of fell into teaching. I'm not sure, but yeah. And then another um, teacher, she was predominantly like just a film editor, and it was great because these were teachers that were actually passionate about their jobs. Because throughout life, right, or throughout education, you meet teachers that are just like, yeah, they say they're passionate, but they don't pass on the knowledge at all.
no, they don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas these teachers were just like, no, you're the you're the future generation. You're going to be the ones like leading this country, right? So we're going to mold you. We want you to achieve the best. And they what I loved so much about it was that they constantly always tell you, yeah, and make you like step out of your comfort zone, which was like unique because in a way like you'd just be like, oh no, I'm a bit afraid. They're just like, no, but like just remember someone else behind you in the queue behind you who wants that same position you're in can do it 10 times better than you. So if you truly want to work here and achieve something, like you go out there and you go and achieve it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It was good. It was like, yeah, like I was saying, we did media. We did we had to do like what was it? A lot of filming, a lot of what do you call it, editing. So like, background media is still there. And then from college, I ended up switching and going straight back into business. So I did, so I went to a university called Westminster Business School
Hmm.
in central London. So that was also amazing because, again, it was, but my pathway I studied, I did business management with entrepreneurship. So you had to do like an actual launch business at the end of it. So that was like really amazing. And it was like first hand experience, just seeing that how I guess you could say like the glass ceiling effect, right? You can, for a female, just being so limited compared to like my male counterparts, where they'd like just get through instantly, whereas me, I had to work like at least like 10 times harder just to achieve like something. But it was persistence that got me there. What about you?
Oh, well, I'm still in school, so
No, I mean like from high school to college.
high school to college, I don't think I've changed. I think I still have the same laissez-faire attitude towards things. And from college, I mean, in high school, I went to like a private IB school and
Mm-hmm.
like an international school. And then coming to university, the people are much different. I feel like Americans are a little behind on things. And oh yeah, it was a very big change. Like just how people interact with each other. Like, because I went to international school overseas, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't come back to America until it was time for university. And so like that was a big change for me because I you don't have like the same like community bubble. People don't have the same values. There's just so much that's different, and it kind of made me not like being in the States. I kind of want to go back overseas.
Like whereabouts overseas? Like, would you predominantly want
Oh,
to reside?
anywhere, just get me out of here, man.
Oh, you just sound like like some family members are just like, yeah, just take me. I just want to be out of the US. I'm just like, hey, that's on you. You chose to live there. You stick through it.
Yeah, but I mean, living in the US is bad until it's good. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that's good, but there's like a lot that's bad. Like, I really don't want to maintain a car. I don't like driving. It's a very big lifestyle change because I had to start doing a lot of stuff for myself. Like, I no longer had like a maid or a driver or anything. It's like I'm the one taking my laundry downstairs, and if I don't make my bed in the morning, when I come back at night, it's still unmade. That
Mm.
sort of thing.
But then I guess like those sort of small things kind of set you up for your day, right? Because it's like your first task of the day. Like you should actually be making your bed and so forth. Because then that puts you in a like mindset and like, okay, I'm ready to like go ahead and seize the day. Like go ahead and make sure like my schedule is going to be complete and so forth.
Really, I don't like doing it. I feel like I just want to go ahead and like before I go to sleep the next day, like I kind of make like a mental like list of like things I need to get done the next day. And
Mm.
then with adding on the laundry and then adding on making the bed, I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do it. I wish I could just get up and like go and do what I wanted to do. Hey,
Yeah,
do you have this like notification thing from Zoom that there's like a certain amount of time left and you have to upgrade?
I think that's because you're hosting it, so it tells you that. But it was
Oh,
weird because like I think the other day, yeah, I just had a Zoom meeting, and that came up, but I had like over like I think my meeting ran for like at least an hour and a half extra, and I didn't get charged. So I'm thinking, who got charged in the end? Because it wasn't me.
huh. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
says like I have like a certain amount of time left before I have to upgrade, and I've never seen this before. I mean, like
yeah.
I've
I think
recorded for like 2 hours, and it's never shown up.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe I know they cap you at 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
When did this
and I know
start?
I know, and I know during COVID, they I think they eliminated the limit. Right, they got rid of the limit, so everyone could talk as for as however long as they want. But I didn't. Hmm,
Yeah, who
that's
does
news.
get charged? That's a very good question. Because I mean, like my credit card isn't connected to a Zoom account yet.
Yeah, that's like me because when it said that, I'm like, yeah, I don't have my card details. I don't know who's getting like charged for this.
It's
But
very
my worry,
strange. I hope it doesn't end the meeting randomly.
no, it probably won't because
Oh, okay.
you
Then
know,
I'll forget about it.
yeah. Worst
Yeah.
case, you can always like rejoin the same conversation back, right? The
Oh,
same
yeah.
Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But moving to America was like a big culture shock in a way, because I had grown up in like this very like in this bubble, and I was always around like really educated people and stuff. And it was like a very like everyone spoke a couple languages, everyone was from a different country, that sort of thing, and everyone came from like a very privileged background. But then coming here, you go from like up there, you become like you're very like a regular civilian now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just a lifestyle change and like the like changing the in the way like people like seeing the way people think and everything was a really big culture shock to me. Like I had to really adjust. And I was like, wow, like I look back on it like previously, I'm like, wow, like I'm very fortunate to live such a privileged life. But also it's like I
Yeah.
don't like the life that I'm living here now, you know? And it instills this kind of like drive where it's like I've seen how good life can get, and right now it could get a lot better. So it's like I'm motivated to achieve this lifestyle. But at the same time, I know it's like it's gonna take a very long time because that's a very like expensive lifestyle to achieve.
No, but you're absolutely right because I remember at one point, because like when I reflect back, look back, and I'll be talking to my friends and I'll be like, oh yeah, but this country is very nice. If you've ever been to like, if you've been to like the South American region or the Caribbean countries, they're absolutely lovely and so forth. Again, you just have to worry about crime and so forth, right? And they're just like, how do you know all this? And then this is what makes me think, right? It's like growing up, my parents, it was just absolutely normal because they'd fly out, and then obviously any like school holidays, we'd end up going to Americas to like visit, family, or like if they have to conduct business, we'll be there on our own like family holiday, and we'll be like in Canada, like America's like different states and so forth, and then we'll be like in again if we can like we'll get to go back and they'll take us back to like South America and Guyana.
Yeah, it was like a lot of people in the US, pardon me, they some of them I've met people who have never even left the state of Texas, and that's like surprising to me.
Yeah, so, no, but you're absolutely right because like as well going back like talking to my friends and how I say yeah we've been all over here yeah, and even in like parts of Europe, right? Only as of
Mhm.
recently because we tend to go to the other side. But again, it just makes you realize how like lucky and how privileged you are to have this like sort of experience and yeah, memory and knowledge. Because when you like interact with other cultures, it makes you like, wow, this is, you know, I guess you can say like it broadens your like personal growth in a way.
Yeah, I'll be like taking these like little experiences from specific cultures, and like they kind of like become a part of who I am, you know, and like my habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
But
one
the
interesting thing I think it's developed is the accent. Like my accent has ended up being so muddled that it's a very blank American accent, which is funny because I haven't lived in the United States until I was about 2019, but I've always had this kind of accent, and it's like a very blank political accent, whereas
but
other
how did
people in
it
the
sound?
U.S. Hmm,
How did it sound
well,
prior?
it's sounded like this the whole time. It's always sounded like this.
Really?
If
Because
anything, I
normally,
sounded a little more British. Yeah, what were we gonna say?
yeah, because normally, sometimes it tends to change, right? Where people, um, I guess like it'll kind of sound not a bit too Arab, but it'll kind of have that dialect or intellect, like dialect where it would turn to that American Arab type.
Oh, I sound Arab.
No, like sometimes when because like I have a few friends, right? Because they're from a few of them that I've like known for a long time, and they're well traveled. Some of them will have like the American accent, right? But
Mm.
because they've lived in different countries and like their parents are obviously like expats and so forth, their accent will be like American, but it will sound a bit entwined with the Arab, like
Yeah, it
in terms in
mixes.
how
Yeah.
they sound. So I'm like, unique. I'll be like, let me what else? Like,
Yeah, see, I never developed
who
that
else is like
interesting accent. I wish I was
that?
cool like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is from Florida, but he doesn't sound like it at all.
So that was really interesting because I remember like first hearing about the whole thing with him, right? How he was abusive, and I'm thinking, no, that can't be true. Because I remember back in high school, we had this media studies teacher, right? And
Hmm.
he worked on a lot of like high profile movies. And I think last one he worked on was with was with Robert Downey Jr. in the Sherlock Holmes movie, which was,
Hmm.
I found terrible. And then I didn't know he worked on it. And he was like, what do you guys think of this? And I was like, it was terrible. I fell asleep. I felt like I fell asleep in the cinema, and so did everyone else. And then he was
Oh,
just like, just to let you know, I've worked on it. And we were just, and then I went too quiet.
yeah. He set himself
Anyway,
up for that one. Oh, come
yeah,
on. Yeah.
I dug my own grave.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, but because I remember we were asking him who's like one of the best celebrities you've ever met, and then he said hands down, and he put his whole life on it. He said Johnny Depp is the kindest person you'd ever meet, and he's so fascinated with the British accent. Like seriously, he's one of those guys that would rather make sure the whole crew and cast are looked after, and then put himself, last. So I'm thinking this guy seems like really cool, and I'm thinking no, maybe you're just saying it because you met him. You met him. He's like, no, no, he's worked with him with like a few other movies as well.
Hmm.
So then it kind of like makes you think, like, all right, he is a good person. And then to hear this whole thing come out, and then, unfortunately, like his whole childhood like came forward where, we found out that he was actually abused by his mother and so forth, him and his sister. It was quite sad.
Yeah, yeah, it was sad. But his accent is so interesting.
Yeah. It
You
alternates
know,
kind of the
I,
Madonna accent, right?
what's the Madonna accent?
How she has the American that goes into like British. And I'm
Oh,
just like, whoa, yeah. And it's kind of it just changes and switches. Whereas compared to what's the other actress, um, Gillian Anderson, the X Files lady. I don't know her name, but I think Gillian or Gillian, however you say her name. Anyway, because she switches accents. Because I think she would predominantly spent time between the US and UK, right? So she'd actually code switch.
but Johnny Depp has like a single accent. He doesn't switch between an American and a British, but he just has like this accent that kind of sounds British, but isn't British, but doesn't really sound American. And like
Yeah,
you can't pin it down to like where it is. I've always really liked his accent.
the Jack Sparrow accent.
Yeah, the Jack Sparrow accent. You know,
Yeah.
I think to myself like, damn, I've lived in all these countries my whole life. Why didn't I get a cool accent? I just sound like every dude from the East from like DC.
Oh man, that's actually quite funny.
Yeah, it's
Just like,
funny now, but looking back on, I'm like, damn, I just should have developed an accent.
oh wow. So that's like actually funny because I thought with my parents living here as well, and then like obviously other family members and so forth, I thought their accent would change to be more English, but they
Hmm.
haven't. It's still the strong Caribbean. They're so like it's still like so strong. I'm just like wow. Sometimes, and especially because they pronounce things well, because like they grew up obviously in the like South America, but they were brought up to learn the British way, but the pronunciation was more the American way.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like weird. It's like you hear it, you're just like, what?
I think the accent change can only happen when you're younger. Like once you after a certain age, you just kind of like you're done, you know. Unless you're an actor, of course, because actors like I'll be so surprised to like watch a movie, like an American movie, and then later see an interview with the actor and they have like a British accent. Like I didn't expect Benedict Cumberbatch to have a British accent. I was so taken aback by that. I was like, I don't know,
Really?
it was British. Yeah, or like Tom Holland is British too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but see, I
no,
would have
no, because
never
that's
known.
because my niece as well, because she's obviously my niece and nephew are in Australia, right? So they
Hmm.
actually have, well, my nephew actually has the Australian accent, but my niece she code switch. So when she's with her friends, she actually sounds more Australian. But then when she's talking with us, it's just the pure British accent.
So strange, right?
Yeah, but it's just something you can just like switch and turn off immediately. And then, but my
Yeah.
sister as well and my brother-in-law, because they've been to Australia, like they've been living there for what 7 years, I think. No, yeah, I think roughly around that time. They still like are maintaining their British accent. I thought it would actually, you know, sound more Australian.
Huh. Yeah, my
Yeah,
my accent had like a stronger British note to it when I was in high school because a lot of my teachers were British, or a few of them were British, and it was like an IB system, so there's more British influence than American, I would say. But I really don't know how I ended up with a very American accent. Like I've just sounded American the whole time, and you can just tell like from the second you hear me talk, they're like, oh yeah. Unfortunately, that's just the one base I have.
maybe it's who you were surrounded with or what you read and so forth. Because like or shows and stuff. Because that plays like a big role in your accent and so forth. It's like if you predominantly watch like the US shows, right? Obviously, your accent will be more towards that. You'll just stay in touch, I guess you can say. But whereas like again, I've noticed this with high school when a few of like fellow classmates and they'd watch American shows, all of a sudden their accent would obviously change to from British to sounding a bit more American.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, you've only watched like two episodes. How all of a sudden your accent's changing?
Yeah, you're trying a
I
little
was
too
like,
hard there, buddy.
yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah.
making yourself an honorary like American or something or what? Like, claim back your rights as a Brit.
No, no, if you're British, you should become American. We're like the better version. Have you been to
I think the
York
Canadians
in
are at that point.
have you been to York in England?
Um, so actually, my sister actually came back from there, but no,
Yeah,
I
well,
haven't.
I mean, if you see York, you'll understand why we made a new one.
Oh man,
Compare our York to your York.
yeah.
But America
Oh,
is like the upgraded version of the UK pretty much, right? That's how like the founding fathers were all British people. We're like we just don't want to pay taxes anymore, and then we became America, and now we have worse taxes than the Brits.
yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed. Like every year, you guys have to do your own tax returns, right? And you
Yeah, we
see
gotta
every single
manually
American.
file them. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be more better to have like your actual, like come out of your actual like paycheck and so forth, like automatically how they do it for us, and everything that you buy is automatically added on, so you're paying for that
from what I
instead of
understand, it's because of the tax law. So the way it works is like you do it yourself manually because there are things that you can figure out how to make tax free or like deduct tax from certain places. So it allows you to be creative and get away with a lot more than if it was just an automatic system that just took that just took that percentage of tax or whatever from you all the time. That's how like Americans, like the rich Americans, are known for like paying very little tax. It's because they can just figure that out.
Yeah, but don't they do that through their own company though? Because I know from you guys, right? I believe like if you guys misreport how much you earned or something, the IRS will come for you or something like that based upon that. I've
Oh
heard.
yeah, in America
Yeah.
you can get away with a lot, right? Like you can get away with things that you wouldn't get away with in other countries. But the one thing
Mm.
that the government doesn't play about is the tax. Like they'll send like IRS has like probably like hit agents and stuff that they'll send after you because they really want their tax money. But no, yeah, any American can set up a business because like the tax law is geared towards encouraging the like economic activity. So anyone can set up an LLC for like $600, and you can like deduct tax by like making your purchases through that. But yeah,
Wait, did you
I haven't.
say
Hmm?
$600 just to set up an LLC? So over here, if you had to set up a company, right?
Uh-huh.
It's only ever worth like you only pay, I believe, like £12. So that's
Yeah,
like
it's like six,
under.
700 bucks to like get it set up.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Wow, that's
as
really
far as I'm
expensive,
aware,
you
yeah.
guys. And it's
I
a rip
mean,
off.
rip off. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess. So, fuck.
Wow.
Not like I got a choice.
Yeah, because I know like everything is just so simply like automated for us. If we wanted to set up something, instead of we can, you can set up yourself. You can go into your local government or government website, and they'll literally have a step-by-step process. And if you do something wrong, obviously they'll highlight it. They'll be like, "Hey, correct your mistake." And if you're unsure, please follow like the simple steps to like
Hmm.
rectify it. So I'm like, this is like very nice.
Well, it's the land of the free, but freedom comes at a price. Uh,
Yeah, no, like no, but to be honest, I do like it because the stories I've heard, right, where apparently what is it like? Yeah, you guys with your DMV or something, right? If you have to wait a long time in line just to get what your license or something. Whereas for us, we can just send it off, and then within a week or two later, we get our license back.
wow. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
relate. I have to go to the DMV early in the morning before anyone else gets there. And no matter how early you get there, there'll be people that got there before you. And you take a ticket and you're waiting in line for what, 4 or 5, 6 hours. And then you
yeah,
finally do the thing. And God forbid you forgot like one piece of paper. Then you got to go back home and do the whole thing all over again the next day.
yeah. See, all of that could actually be eliminated just by making it all online, digital, and automated, right? Imagine if you guys implemented that and had the infrastructure in place. Like no more waiting around, wasting your days where you could have like actually done something a bit more, like, achieve something else you wanted to set out to achieve that day, instead of worrying and thinking I'm gonna like have to waste a whole day just waiting in line.
Yeah, one thing I found funny was you have to drive to the DMV because they're not usually everywhere. You have to drive to them to get your driver's license. But how can you drive somewhere if you don't have a driver's license, you know? I always found that
Don't
bit
they
really
give you
funny.
like a letter or something to say, hey, use this just in case if you get stopped? Like even though
No.
you have your what?
Yeah,
Seriously?
you don't get that. No.
Wow. Okay, because like for us, I know when you pass your driving test, right?
Hmm.
So you have this little green card, right, which is your provisional. She's like, hey, you're not yet a fully qualified driver, but you're still learning. But when you pass it, you give that to the examiner, and the examiner gives you this lesson and say, hey, well, this is your certificate to prove that you passed and so forth, and everything. Like, hold on to this, and then in 2 weeks, you should get your full driving license in the post, which is a pink card to the green one, and then yeah, you can just use that.
No, we don't have that. The closest thing we have to that is a driver's permit, where it's like if you're under a certain age, if you're under 18, you can get a driver's permit where you have to drive with a licensed adult. And that's it. You don't, there's no like paper that you can show the police or anything. I guess you just go to jail. I don't know.
Don't they have like a amount of years? Like you have to be a qualified driver to be able to drive with the newbie driver. like the
I
learner
guess you just
driver.
cross your I guess you just cross your fingers and like hope you don't get caught on the way there or something.
Because I know for us, right?
Hmm.
So if you're just a provisional based driver, you're still learning how to drive. You can have, I believe, an adult who's a driver, but they have to have like at least 3 years driving experience. Like
Oh
from
wow.
the day, yeah, from the day they've actually like received their driving license.
Yeah,
So
we
I
don't have
thought
that
that was really
3 year
good.
thing now. I mean, once you get your license, you got your license. That's it.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah,
A lot of strange rules.
yeah. That's another thing they should add in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we don't have automated systems. It's not like we don't have the technology or something.
Yeah, and then another thing, you guys in your banking system, that's another thing that irritates me because I know like my uncle was just like, yeah, we still don't have like the bank transfers. Like we can't do that. How you guys can just ask for the account number and sort code, and you can send anyone any amount of money that you want. Just make that transfer within the day, right? Whereas them, like you guys, I believe you have to wait you have to do like a routing number and something.
Yeah, there's the
It's like,
account
oh,
number and the routing number, and I think there's a
yeah,
wire number.
yeah. I'm just like, what is all of this? And I'm just
Yeah,
like, it's just
it's
too
a little
long.
complicated. Yeah.
It's
There's no
just so
like
long.
single tap like transfer or anything. It's not that simple.
And this is why I believe, like, obviously, you guys predominantly just use third-party apps, so like PayPal, Zelle, what's
Yeah,
the other one?
PayPal rules like the internet and like transfer, and then in person is like Zelle is only
Venmo,
works
right?
with so Zelle only works with Chase banks, I think, or like a few banks. It doesn't work with
Mm,
all banks. Venmo is like the popular peer-to-peer one, or Cash App,
yeah, that's the other one.
or Apple Pay if you have an iPhone.
Mm.
Yeah, very complicated now that I think about it. They
Yeah,
really
because
don't want you to make money in America. They want you to stay poor, I guess. But the thing is, one thing about America though is you can get richer here than you'd be able to get anywhere else in the world. Like I
yeah,
think the main reason that people come to America like immigrate is because like you can come here and work and like make like a lot more money than you would outside of America. Hello?
yeah. Hello, you just cut out for a second.
Did I?
I just heard America. People come to America, and then they just
Oh,
went.
okay. Let me say that again. So I think the main reason that people come to the United States is because here you can make more money than you would be able to anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, it's one of you guys. Your infrastructure is. I would actually say it's really outdated. I believe like when I was last there, you guys had more like Wi-Fi hotspots to connect to than having to worry about racking up like roaming charges for like an international person. I'm like, what? But in the terms like, yeah, there's so much room for improvement for you guys. Like the whole banking thing is just one. And then as well, when we were there, like I remember telling my cousin, I'm like, yeah, but do you guys not do like have like what do you call it, takeaway apps? Because I know if we had Deliveroo and Just Eat, and then they deliver within the hour, like at least 20 something minutes max, and they'd get to you. And then she'd be like, yeah, we don't have that, and if we do, by the time it reaches us, the food's already cold. You might as well just go eat at the restaurant.
I
And then
mean,
I believe
yeah,
now,
that's because London is like it's like tiny. It's like it's walkable. In the United States, you gotta drive everywhere. I gotta drive like 10 minutes to get to the nearest gas station. I gotta drive like half an hour almost to like get to my university. It's like nothing is like that close. You know what I mean? Like your food will be lukewarm by the time you get here. By the time it like, and we have delivery apps. We have like Uber Eats and stuff. or like, at least
Yeah,
now we do. But like,
like even
yeah,
and as well.
shit's like
Yeah, sorry about that.
spar, you know?
Yeah, because I remember saying, "What about groceries and so forth?" Because I know our local like supermarket, grocery stores, especially, they have like you can do your online shopping and they deliver at home to you. So like if you're working from home, it's the most ideal thing because they literally just pop up, knock on your door and be like, "Hey, yeah, you just ordered this, like take your groceries and so forth." And they were just like, "Yeah, we still don't have that." But then I think now, hearing about it, they now just implemented it. I can't remember the app.
Yeah, things like this, like I think the grocery delivery thing exists, but like almost nobody uses it. All this
Yeah, I
stuff
think
only started coming around like once COVID hit. Like before that, almost nobody used this kind of stuff.
yeah, even for the whole thing as well, because like because we have this thing called like tap and go, the contactless payment basically. And I believe Apple is just about doing that. So you guys are just getting a taste of it. But we had that since I believe like 2006 or seven. I can't. I think. And I remember it was first introduced, and you just had a limit of just £5, and then slowly they started to increase it to 10, 15, 20. And then I think now, obviously because of COVID and everything's happened, they want to eliminate money and the past of COVID being transferred to different people, transmitted and so forth. So they increased it to like 65 or 70. And I believe like it was one of the most best things to like have ever existed. You literally just tap and just go. And it's so much more like as of ease instead of worrying about, making sure when you're at the till, you're just like, oh, let me check that like I have the right amount. Where's my cash? And then you're scrambling to get back the change and quickly just like shove that away before like the next person behind you is just like, hurry up.
Yeah, yeah, that tap and go thing isn't even everywhere yet. Like I don't think Walmart even has tap and go yet. It's not even like tap and go. Like sometimes it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, so it's just like the minor things. And this is what made me realize, like, wow. Because even when I was in Canada as well,
Mhm.
because they prefer, like, obviously, the physical cash over, like, just using your card. They say, no, we don't want the plastic. Just give me the actual, money. And you just be like, wow, it makes you realize how spoiled you are.
Yeah, I
Because for
mean, the more you talk about it, the more I realize, like again, how like the US is like the world's superpower, right? But we still have a lot to do. Like I guess on like a very social level.
yeah, because like even, but don't get me wrong though, like when I'm in like Canada, US, or South America, or even Europe, away from the UK, it makes me realize how cheap everything is.
You
And
think the
when I mean
UK
cheap,
is cheap?
no, no, it makes me realize like how cheap the rest of the world is. Like you can literally buy something and you'd be like, wow, that's so much cheaper here than if I was to get it in the UK. Like for instance, like what was it? Like I think like for us, especially if we have to park up, you have to pay to park, right? So that's just the go-to standard for us. Like we've grown up, we don't think twice about it. Like, oh yeah, it's a standard. You just like, pay to park your car in a secure like parking lot. But then when I was I remember being in the south of France, and I'm thinking, and only then just hit me, just like you just park up. I remember I asked my sister, it's like, oh, did you like get the ticket to like pay for the car? She's like, oh no, no, they don't do that here. I'm just like, what? And it's just like the minor things that just make you like snap back and think, wow, we literally have to pay for everything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, paid parking in America there is paid parking, but some places don't have it. I would prefer not to have to park at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, living abroad and then moving back here, things seem super expensive, but it's all relative. Like when I was in London, I went to get tea and it was like 25 pounds, like at the for like two people. I was thinking to
wait,
myself, that's like almost $30, and it's just like boiled
where
leaves.
did you go? Where did you go for the
Uh,
tea?
it's it's this place called La Durée.
Oh, yeah. So that's like a touristy area. So they would obviously it's a shop that just French, but they literally will make money off of everyone, any and everyone. Because I was thinking like 25 quid just for tea. No, you
Yeah,
can literally just go to your local supermarket, pick up PG tips or Yorkshire tea. That's probably like what, a pound something, pound £2,
well,
and you
I
can get
wonder.
like over what 100 to 200 teas out of that.
Yeah, good point. It wasn't a tourist area. It was in Central. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay man. Yeah,
Yeah,
Central
but
London.
then even when they're in other countries overseas, then that makes you think that even America is expensive. Like things in America cost an absurd amount. I know like a Coca-Cola cost like $2 here, I think. Or no, a dollar something or $2. But then in some countries overseas, if you convert the price, it costs like 35 cents or 80 cents. And then it makes you think like I think the prices all just they all coordinate to like standard of living and like the just what things like what you normally cost.
Yeah, the cost of living, and especially now, I only ever understand because of the rise of inflation, right? So
Mm.
everyone's kind of okay. Well, you don't realize how expensive things are until when you go shopping, you're just like, oh, hang on, this has actually increased from what it was before.
Yeah, my dad would complain sometimes. He'd be like, "Oh, these McDonald's used to cost like $5 back in my day, in like the 1990s." And I looked up like an inflation calculator, and I'm like, because it costs like $10 something now, or like 11, 12. I looked it up in the
Yeah,
inflation calculator, and like $10 now back then was like $6. So like it makes sense, but like mentally, like $5 to the $10, it seems like double the price when it's the same price.
because I remember my mom was telling me like I think back in the 80s or something and mid
Hmm.
90s. I remember she was telling me that how when her parents as well, my grandparents when they were here back in London, they would like look through and they'd say, you could actually buy a house for like I think like under £100, and I was like, what? They're like, yeah, back in the day you could actually buy a house for £100, buy an estate or whatever you want, like that's acres upon acres of like land with your house and so forth, right? A stately home for like just £100. And I'm like, what? How cheap it was back then. Now it's like close to like what, 1 million you have to pay just to buy a house in London.
Forget a house. It's like only an apartment you could get with 1 million.
Yeah, yeah, I think apartments are like they try and rip you off how 1 million
Back
for like
then, you could have
planet.
like a minimum wage job and afford like a car and a house and like support a family. But now it's
Yeah,
like on a minimum wage job, you can barely afford yourself.
yeah, because I remember she was telling me that how one time I believe like someone bought like two cemeteries for 5p.
What?
5p, right? Two, yeah, I know. Two cemeteries for 5p. And you can imagine like how many acres of like land like this cemetery, each cemetery has, right? And I think he sold it back to the government for I think it was like over 5 million each after like a 10-year period. And I'm just like, wow. It makes me think, I'm just like, how cheap, right? It was back then compared to now. And how much you could actually get for the like for money's worth of things.
Dude, 5p now wouldn't even get you the grass in a cemetery.
The 5p would just allow you to just like view it from your windows.
Nah, but they probably charge you for that too. They probably charge you 5p for thinking about the cemetery.
Yeah, I think now like they'll probably say, hey, actually just by looking and breathing, you have to pay your CO2 charges, right? Your carbon
Yeah, yeah.
emission.
If you breathe the air near the cemetery, you're contributing to the depreciation of the land. So you got
Yeah,
to pay tax for that too.
yeah, because all of that now is being factored in. Like even if you have to like book a plane ticket, it will tell you, well, this flight to this destination uses roughly 78 kg, like produces 78 kg of CO2. It's just like what? But good though they include it because it makes you think about your own personal carbon footprint, right?
No, I think the personal carbon footprint is a scam.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, think about I read this thing where it's like our like like people alone, like your normal citizen, only contributes up to like 30% of the global total carbon waste, right? That's 70% is all like from corporations.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
like it's like corporations shifting the focus from them to us and make us think, oh, I should get reusable jars instead of plastic packaging. It's like, how about you stop using plastic packaging in your product so I don't have to go and like find something else. It's like they're like making all the waste and they're putting the focus towards us.
Yeah, so I read something about this the like a while back, and I believe they said the whole thing with recycling plastic in the mid 90s or something was like was through the oil industry because they know, yeah, it was what's it, environment and so forth, but the reason why they haven't really bothered about it was because apparently it was actually much more cheaper to just produce more plastic than to actually like go ahead and do the whole cleanup of it.
Yeah, I don't
So they,
care.
yeah. So for that like aspect, yeah, I could understand. But then it's so cool because like when you see these like new entrepreneurs coming out and they're producing these sort of things, they're just like, hey, we've actually collected the plastic from the beach and we're actually melting it and we're creating like 3D printed filament. I'm just like,
Well,
this
that's
is,
nice.
yeah, and I'm just like, actually, this is actually a really smart use case because I know from like 3D printing with work, when you have to do so many prototypes, you have so much like failed prints, right?
Hmm.
You end up generating this stack, and you're just looking for this alternative to like, hey, if we can just melt down these like filaments, and because they're made from different materials, so you have to make sure like it doesn't get mixed up. But again, because like the technology is still about like roughly getting there for the 3D printing to just recycle the excess plastic and melt it down without paying an arm and a leg. So it's just kind of like when you see these people doing it at such a like cheaper scale, you're just like, they can actually market this. And there's a
Yeah.
whole like segment, a whole like target market of people that would actually buy this.
Yeah, and when
Because
you can get that to like a mass scale, I think that's when we can finally have like
exactly,
biodegradable plastic packaging and we can really because we've like honestly we've already destroyed the earth like past repair. So the best we can do now is to like curb as much of it as we can.
yeah, no. So I believe like a few supermarkets here in the UK, so they actually do biodegradable bags, right? And they encourage you to use it for your food waste.
Hmm.
So like they're very for me, like they're actually very very strict in our council in our borough. Our local council will be like, nope, you've contaminated your food waste with your like recycling. I've seen like one thing end up in it. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay a fine. I've seen it happen to people. I'm just like, yeah, I'm so happy that wasn't me. Like, I'm so happy they drilled it into us. Like, my parents are just like, make sure you don't put in plastic into the food waste.
Oh, okay.
They
Yeah.
you
What's
separate
also
your
something interesting with the UK is like they charge you for bags. Like they'll
yeah
charge you a few pence for bags. I've never had that happen here in the US. Only when I was in the UK did they charge me for bags.
yeah. I think for the last like few years, like several years, they made it a point. Like I think it was like 5p a bag, and then I believe like people were just like, who cares? It's just 5p. Just add in more, right? And then they increased it to I believe like 10p for just your regular plastic bag. And then now like if you now they've changed it to a lifelong bag, so which is like a thicker plastic, and I think that's like what 20p, and you can just use it and go in as much time as you want. And then if that breaks, you can go into the supermarket, give it to them, and then they give you a new one for free.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So they actually encourage you, which is like, great. And then because like I've seen like a few other entrepreneurs that like come forward and they're just like, what do you think of my business idea? And this is like to relate to the recycling side. So I believe like I know in the Australia they have it, but I'm not sure about the US. But Australia has it so that you can actually recycle your I believe, your like drinking cans,
Hmm.
and you get money back for it. And it's a good like side thing for like kids when they want to save up their pocket money and they want to earn extra. The parents just tell them, well, go and collect, the drinking cans, and then we can go to the recycling center, and they'll literally pay you. I
Oh,
remember.
only homeless people in the US do that.
Oh, so like I think for Australia, they're like majority they target like the kids
Hmm.
to get them involved with the environment. Yeah, and I remember like a few entrepreneurs had the same idea, and they were saying how well we can actually implement it for the people to get more involved in recycling the plastic, the tin cans. And I was thinking this is actually interesting, but like how's that gonna have to like play in, because as it is they're very strict with us like recycling things. We have like different bags. We have like your average household waste, and then you have like which is obviously your paper, your tissue, and so forth. And then you have your full-on recyclable stuff, which is your tin cans, your plastic, and your milk bottles, your PETG, and so forth, right? And then your food and right, your brown bin, which is basically your garden waste. So I was thinking, how are they going to play into that? Because they said they wanted the customer to sort that out, and I'm thinking, but how again? Like how how are you going to get the customer their money? And they were saying, well, we can introduce the system to recycling companies. Now, and then this is what made me think, because I know recycling companies have the business with the individuals that take your recycled rubbish away, and they sort the plastic to the metal cans, right? And they take the cans to a recycling center, with a furnace center, right? But they're able to actually burn the tins, and then they go back to be reused. So my whole like idea to them was like, well, how are you able to like compete with this market if you're planning to give them the customers money? It was back to like I was asking them how they're able to like give the customers money from recycling this, if they want to do the whole thing of rewarding them. And again they revealed, oh, but well, we'll do cryptocurrency, they get cryptocurrency. And I remember thinking, but imagine if, because only a particular set of like people know about cryptocurrency, right? Those who are familiar with Web3. But if you're talking about, say, your parents and so forth, right? The older generation, and they've seen this, and just like, oh, but you get cryptocurrency, so it seems like another thing. They're not going to be able to easily understand how cryptocurrency works. They're not going to know, oh, well, actually, you need not to buy, you need to set up a wallet through MetaMask, and then they'd send you that crypto to match the equivalent you've like helped recycle, right? And then
Yes,
they
it's
were
a
just
very
like,
niche thing. I don't think
yeah,
most people care about cryptocurrency or even want cryptocurrency.
yeah. And then the whole point, I was just like, but then you kind of have to sell, right? Sell the whole point of your cryptocurrency, and then you kind of have to like again, you have to try and peg it to so it matches the aluminium current trading price if you want it to be like that. And they're just like, oh, we haven't really thought of that. Because then my idea was that I was like, it's a great concept, but when you just get the vibe like, hey, I think you're just in it to scam the individual.
Yeah.
So that's my idea, and that's why like when people come to me with like saying, hey, yeah, we have this cryptocurrency like Web3 project, what do you think? I'm just like, let me vet this first, because like as it is, like people who launch projects in Web3, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to be the ones scamming them. They're not actually doing something to help prevent, and eliminate CO2 or help with the whole climate change.
Yeah, why is Web3 so scary?
And I believe it all started out with the whole ICO initial coin offering.
Hmm.
Because I remember when I was considering doing an ICO launch, and then I heard like my lovely like team members was telling me the hell, yeah, unfortunately, like it's being plagued with scams. And I was just like, oh, then I don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather put my currency towards like actually helping to develop and to like eliminate CO2 and rewarding companies at the same time. But I remember they say, yeah, there's all these like dead weighted projects currently listed. Like they've raised X amount of money in fiat currency, and then users get the equivalent in their cryptocurrency, but they've seen no progress to date. So I'm just like, whoa, the trust levels. And then I believe after that, after your ICO, which is like the equivalent to your IPO, they started to get like a new name. Like they went through the whole STO, so which is the same as ICO, security token offering. Then they went from an IEO, initial exchange offerings. I'm just like, what? They're going through the whole rust of like new names and so forth. They're like, yeah. And I believe like after that, they were trying to target DeFi, decentralized finance, as well. Like a few
Mhm.
projects as well from that within DeFi are like scam based. So it's kind of like, oh. And then as well, with the users connecting their wallet and they're thinking, oh yeah, it's a legitimate website. And then they find out that actually no, they've been scammed, and then the scammers have actually taken all of their money from the actual wallet.
What's even worse, it's common for people to start a crypto, like a crypto coin, and like they'll own 51% of that coin off the bat. And they like advertised it through these like Discord servers and Twitter and create all this hype around it, right? By, talking about promises they can't deliver. They make the whole thing look like professional. They have like a website or whatever, like a lot of Twitter followers or whatever. And then the coin like finally like releases, everybody buys it, the price goes up, right, of the coin. And their 51% becomes like very valuable. And once it hits like high enough, then they sell their 51% and they cash out. And then they get a
Yeah,
bunch of money, and then everybody else is just like screwed over. So yeah,
yeah,
all they do is
pump and
losing money.
dumps.
Yeah, pump and dump. Or I've
Yeah.
seen there was this art project that was made to kind of highlight the flaws with NFTs. And you know what a rug
Mm-hmm.
pull is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what this artist did was he released these NFTs, people bought them and on OpenSeas, and he literally rug pulled them by replacing all the images with pictures of rugs.
I know it's like me, but like rugs.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
very, very funny.
relation. It's sad though. It is really sad because I remember DSO when that launched like last year
Hmm.
around this time, and I remember there was only like under 100 of us on the actual platform. And I remember like, one of the conversations I was having with another fellow user, and they were talking about um, NFTs, and I was saying, yeah, but the whole point of NFTs, the reason why artists, it was like advertised more towards artists. They're like, hey, you can actually create a digital timestamp and protect your like artwork. It will be like your very own copyright, but it's on the blockchain. But I said that a way around this, and what they've been found to have like happen to them, was that you get thieves, right?
Hmm.
Who would actually just print screen it and just resell it and say, yeah, this is actually from the artist. And they just get scammed out.
Yeah, because how is it a copyright, right? It's just a
Yeah,
blockchain. It's just something that exists. It's not legally protected.
no, exactly. And you're just thinking like, wow, I can see why artists are like, so a bit more apprehensive about it. Because imagine that's their hard work just
You
going
know,
down the drain instantly.
the whole idea of like these NFT pictures is so funny to me because from what I understood beforehand, NFT is just an authentication technology. It's like it's not even something that's on like the front end for users. It's a back end thing. But
Mm.
suddenly, like I don't know, some people wanted. Here's my like crazy theory is that this whole thing, the whole like the crypto getting super popular and the NFTs is a way for these people to launder money. Because when you think about who, and that's why it's so scammy, right? Because you think about who has like most of the crypto from before. back like
Mm.
way back like 2012, 2014, it started off. The only people who were using crypto were like people buying drugs on the dark web, right? See how all these like dark web like drug dealers and like whatever like salespeople who are like selling illegal guns or whatever, their crypto used to be like Bitcoin used to be pretty worthless. It'd be like 20 Bitcoin like to a dollar or whatever. And then
No, you're
now,
absolutely right.
yeah, and now it's like it's become like now they're like this is like worth so much. So they're like they have all this money that they can't use. So they've just figured out this really cool way to launder it out, and like it's anonymous, and it's like oh like NFTs and crypto exchanges and everything, and it just filters the money out. So the whole thing is like a big play by these really rich like uh, dark web like drug dealers and stuff.
So yeah, because I believe like how crypto Bitcoin was originally associated, right, was through the dark web. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
had to do or buy anything, right, they'd be like, well, actually, send me X amount of Bitcoins and you'd get this in the post or something, or you'd get this delivered to you as promised. Like that was the
Hmm.
easiest way to go undetected. And I believe when the Winklevoss twins were trying to like, promote and advertise and say, hey, actually there's more to Bitcoin than you think, than it's actually being associated with. Like that's how people actually knew about it. Because I remember back in college, I believe like 2013, 2014, my friend, right, he was doing his documentary about Bitcoin and how easy it is to actually to buy something from the dark web. And I believe like I can't remember what he bought. Like I think it was like drugs, like cannabis or something, right? And then he was like, I wanted to see if it's like possible. And I remember reading up about Bitcoin at that time. But my understanding from then was like, oh wow, like this is blockchain technology, right? This is cryptocurrency. This can actually improve a lot of like infrastructures in our world today if it was to be put towards like good use. And I remember like reading about it and I was like, telling him, I was like, you know what you should do? You should actually hold on to it. Right. And he was like, yeah, Shanaz, I don't believe that. I'm just gonna like, just do my work and just like sell it off. I don't really care about it. And then anyway, he did his documentary, proved the point, like you could actually buy things with it on the dark web. And I remember the way he got it delivered to him, the cannabis, it actually came looking in an actual identical like Amazon package.
Hmm.
You get through his front door, and then he was like, he literally like documented the whole thing. And then obviously like several years later, when the whole like Bitcoin went past like the £1,000 mark and then up to like 10,000 or so forth, you get like a I just got like a message saying, "Hey, Shanaz, you were absolutely right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I still kept mine." I'm like, "Yeah," because I
uh,
remember like back then, like when they wanted you to learn about it, because you could only be able to buy Bitcoin from Mount Gox, the exchange website. And I remember like if you had to set off like a wallet, they'd be like, "Hey, just remember your seed password," and they'd automatically give you like 25.25 Bitcoin. And then obviously like it took like a no brainer. Like anyone could just figure it out. Like, hey, you set up like X amount of wallet, and you can actually like transfer that whole amount for free
yeah.
to like the main hard wallet that you
You
want,
remember
right? And
Mount
then there's
Gox?
your Bitcoin.
I remember back
Yeah, for
when
free.
in like middle school where you had to mine the Bitcoin on a computer, and you had to have like a thumb drive that you formatted to be your hardware wallet because they didn't even have the soft wallets. And what my friends and I did was we basically started using all the school computers to mine Bitcoin. And we would like take, and then we got found out after like a week because it was like like the computers were like wouldn't turn off. They were like running overnight and stuff, but it looked like they were off. And like we got in a lot of trouble for that. And it was like a bunch of big. I don't even know why we were mining Bitcoin. We had nothing to buy on the dark web. I don't know. We just thought it was cool to do it. And then I can't. I wonder where that flash drive is to this day because there was like at least I like 100 something Bitcoin on there.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I've noticed that because even I'm trying to like locate. I'm like, where's my like hard wallet? Like, what was the login information? I know I have it stored some. I know, yeah, because I'm one of those that's like really organized. I'm just like,
Hmm.
where is this? Where is this? I can just like cash it out.
Yeah, there's somewhere there's a retirement fund sitting on a flash drive somewhere in the world, and I can't find it. At this
Yeah,
point, I'm just giving up. I'm like, all right, win some, lose some.
but your story sounds similar to. I think what happened was that there was this cyber firm, right? That was just
Hmm.
targeted by these hackers, and what they do, the whole virus would actually be to hijack the computers, the workplace computers, right? And then they'd end up mining a coin, some
Oh,
coin, I can't remember. And I thought, it was one of the most brilliant thing ever. But then at the same time, it was like funny, but then kind of worrying, right? Like how weak is your security system? Like,
yeah.
and I
That's
met,
when you mentioned security. I'm studying for a security exam right now, actually,
oh,
for a yeah cybersecurity exam right now. But yeah,
oh,
most people's security is just terrible.
yeah,
There was a dude I know in high school, and he would like hack people's Snapchats, right? And initially, I thought it was like, oh, this guy's some like genius hack or whatever, like hacking its like database, or whatever. This dude just like sent phishing emails. People would like it would be like it looked like the Snapchat email, and he'd be like, "Oh,
mm,
there's been an unrecognized login from your account. Log in now to like secure blah blah blah." And then you'd like press that button, and it would take you to like a dummy login page where it would
oh,
you log in and it takes your credentials, and then just redirects you to the Snapchat website, and that's it. And then he has your login, and the person wouldn't be like any the wiser, you know?
yeah, because I believe like that's one of the biggest crimes today, right? You're phishing
Yeah, phishing
or
scams because people
scammers.
don't check where their emails are coming from. They just take things at face value.
Exactly that. And then as well,
Yeah.
like I think again with your passwords, people tend to use like predominantly password repeaters.
Hmm.
So they use the same password over and over again when they're just like, no, we have to mix it up. So that doesn't happen. Or they tend to use the basic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or password. And you're just like, seriously, you couldn't be a bit more like,
Yeah, like you really can't remember anything harder than that.
exactly. And then this
There's
is
a
why they introduced the whole two-step factor authentication. And then I
mhm.
believe the whole point of using your Face ID login, which was actually, one of the biggest like game changers.
Yeah. With NFTs, how do you feel about celebrity NFTs? Because recently Bella Hadid is launching an NFT.
I feel that, you know what, to date, with NFTs, any celebrity that basically understands you, like Stan, you can literally launch something with their name attached. They're in it just for the quick return on investment. Like they're
Yeah.
in it just for the money. And then the NFT is really worthless because I believe Seth Green, the actor, right? Because
Hmm.
he's into like the Web3 thing. And then one of his show that he was making, because I read it in the news, he he was he was doing this show, and the whole point is based off of NFTs and utilizing blockchain for his media and shows and so forth. But somewhere along the line, he was logged into like I think OpenSea,
Hmm.
the marketplace, but he was a duplicate of it, right? And then he logged in, he connected his wallet, and then it turns out that how they transferred like two of his 48 yacht clubs, and they went back to like be sold, and
Yeah,
then they all got
yeah, they
transferred to
stole it
someone
and they
else.
resold it to someone
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
And then he was like contacting the guy. He's like, "Yeah, you bought this. Can we work out a thing where you can just like send it back to me?" So there's that aspect as well. There's like because people are getting really, really, really good at like ripping off the real website
Oh yeah,
and
it's
do the whole like
so
duplicate.
easy to duplicate a website now. It's like almost no work.
Yeah, because like the whole source code is there, right?
Yeah, the
So it's
source
like
code is right there. You can just download it.
yeah, exactly. And then there's that, and then there's just kind of like, okay, we kind of need to be more safe for the online security side. So the whole thing with just Web3, and then again with the whole security side and celebrities getting involved, it's just going to be a whole mass worth of
Oh
like
yeah, definitely.
scams.
It's gonna be. I don't know. I feel like the NFT bubble is slowly popping. You know, like we're kind of people are waking up to the fact that NFTs don't really do anything for the most part. Like the
Yeah,
only really successful NFT I can think of is the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. And that's because it was like a bunch of celebrities have it, and then it's kind of like a membership card. Like you get into like some Bored Ape Yacht Club parties or whatever. But from what I've seen, these are really lame parties. Like it's just like a it's just like a bunch of like dudes who are into NFT, like into this tech stuff, and then they just so happen to have $250,000 they were able to spend on a monkey picture.
mm,
And that's it. That's like I mean, I think most of it just by chance. And it's like okay, I guess it's like it reminds me like the way I see it, it reminds me of like car clubs. Like when you buy a Bugatti, you're invited to the Bugatti club, right? Or when you buy like I think two or more Ferraris or something, then you're invited to the Ferrari club. So it becomes like this exclusivity membership where you meet people with like a similar socioeconomic level, and then you network, and that's how you make like get grow your wealth.
mm. But it's not really like because you can literally just buy a membership from anywhere as well, right? Because I know but I know what they want. Like they want the benefits of like the actual connections that come with the membership of being part of those clubs.
Yeah,
But then, because I know like over here, it's like if you're part of a racing club, right? For us, because we have like Goodwood, then you have a whole bunch of others like that my sister's part of, and she's just like, "Come with me," and I'm just like, "No, I get really bored, and I don't want to like be stuck." And then you're hearing about like an old person talk about their life. It's like I don't mind listening to it, but there's just some days I'm just like, I actually just do want to switch off and just like not think about work.
oh yeah, I feel that.
There's just those days. I'm just
What do
like
you
that.
do for work?
So I actually have a company called Rome Telecom. So originally we wanted to do free broadband connectivity and offer it
Hmm.
to those who are less fortunate, right? And you can like be able to use it, like I said, for free. But then as time went on, because it was launched out of like my final year university project, as time went on, I wanted to do like a solar powered like gadget, a phone. So the whole it was born out of like I said, my business was born out of like creating this clean technology product. So a solar powered phone. And then it became so like good, like we won like several competitions. And then we had like several people came to us like, hey, can we actually license this from you, the actual like technology? And they will pay you in royalties. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I saw like a unique opportunity where I had like several other startups who like, who were students or just about had this idea, but they didn't know how to do like prototyping. And I'm thinking, hey, I can actually help you with that. And I can actually help you like mentor and guide you. Because like I went through the stage of having to create my prototype for this like solar powered phone. And we created like a successful like product line and product lines to like branch off of it that we have licensed out. And then we help them create it. And we're just like, hey, we can actually create this for you here in the UK. And they're just like, what? Because they've been told they have to go all the way to China. I'm like, yeah, they tell you the whole go-to thing. Like, go all the way to China, create your product, but you have to pay for a translator. Don't forget, you have to pay for like your housing or your plane tickets and so forth. And then, oh, by the way, you also stand a chance of being ripped off, right? Because no, they don't care about your patents over there. So I'm like, and they're just like, oh my gosh. So they do it through me. We create their prototypes, the working prototypes. We put them in contact and so forth with like the British Library because we have a good contact there, and they work with them through the whole process of getting the product actually patented and so forth.
Wow. So you went from a broadband telecom company to a
to
physical product company
clean tech, yeah, licensing
to
and
a
then
clean
prototype.
to a clean tech licensing company that also does prototyping and mentorship.
Yeah,
That's like from this to that. That is a very big like change.
yeah. So then with that comes with like again from being back at university as well, because like I do get invited back quite a lot, and they're just like, hey, can you give talks to like the former students and so forth. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then they're just like, wait, what? You went from that to that? I'm like, it happened really fast, trust me. It happened so fast, like I barely had time to blink.
How did you feel about that change? Because I mean, like as an entrepreneur, you're very passionate about your like the project you set out to do. But it went from this, how did you feel about that change from a telecom company all the way to a prototyping mentorship and licensing company?
So originally, like, well, because I wanted to do broadband, right? So I was
Mm-hmm.
a bit like, yeah, gut wrenched about it. Because obviously at that time, if we wanted to release that, it would cost hundreds and thousands, probably millions, because just to do R&D on it. And then it was just like one of my lectures as well that kind of like just pushed me to creating this product. And then also what actually happened was because we're watching, it was like this lecturer, he said, because he always has to go back to Africa. I can't remember which part, which state in Africa. But he said every year he's always like he always had to go back there on behalf of the university and then also behalf of like friends that he's made. And he said one of the like saddest things, not saddest thing, one of the like gracious things that they do, like they don't allow plastic, and they'd actually like tell you, hey, you can't allow any plastic into the country. And if they do, like, you can pay a fine or you can just like go and recycle it. But it was just what he was telling me about. Yeah, they don't have like the basic phones like how we have it. If they do, it's secondhand, and if it's secondhand, like pretty much the use time for that is not even a year's worth of like physical usage before it actually breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So then my understanding is like, but why can't there be a solar powered phone? Like, I mean, you can capture the sun's energy, right? Power it, use it how you like it, and then you have like it would solve an actual problem. And then that was just like my moment of kicking on. And then again, I had my like dissertation thesis on it. So I was just like, oh, kill two birds on one stone. And then when again, having been gut wrenched with the whole broadband idea, right? I realized like this, I was onto something. So I decided to actually like physically make it into a product. And I believe like I was so relieved when it during the like field testing process, and I was like, it was just when you switch it on and it works, and then it's charging, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's actually charging, it's actually generating electricity, storing it for you to be reused. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. And then again, like showcasing it at our university's pop-up event, and everyone was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, I know, this happened, this actually happened. It was amazing. But then as well with the whole mentorship thing that came in, because like I said, like you're there by offering your own expertise from what you went through. Then it's also kind of like telling them, actually don't be naive and don't fall for like what everyone wants you to like, what you want to hear. Let's be realistic and let's actually work towards achieving your goal as well. So then because of that, they end up actually putting me, few of them end up putting me on like to be on the company board or becoming a partner in them. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of great because you oversee the whole like startup, how that scales from like just being you, the founding team, to going to like being an actual like your first employee. It's like you experience the whole process again, right? And then to raising your first like seed like round to like Series A and so forth. So it's kind of like exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. And then as well, the usual thing again, because I feel like you have to kind of mention it. It's just like being as well being a female in this industry. I don't think anyone's ever recognized that part because again, you always see like your male counterparts like get more recognition than you. But for me, finding my lecturers are just like, hey, Shanaz, like, we talk about you all the time during our teachings, during our lectures, and I'm just like, these are the current students, like, well, former students, that have achieved this and this during their time studying from this course, and they're always like intrigued with like your progress, how it was then, like to date, and it was quite really inspiring as well, and especially I remember when I was doing my patent at the British Library, and I remember my patent attorney, she just turned to me and she just said to me, she was like, "First, I just really want to say, like every time we meet, she's just like, I just really want to say you're the biggest inspiration ever for like the females in the industry." Because she's just like, I tell my kids about you, and like, there's this like female entrepreneur, she's in the tech industry, clean tech, and she's doing this, and they get inspired, and then it makes you think like, wow, am I a role model? Like, are people leading by example? Like, is this going to be the next wave of like future green and clean tech entrepreneurs? Like, if so, it makes you think, yeah, like, hey, how can I inspire much more people as well? So like get into the industry, make sure that they're following their passion too.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. It just goes to show that the impact that you have is probably greater than you'll ever be able to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when we had a few NGOs, right, we'd partner with them and they'd be like, hey, can you like field test our product? And they'd come back and they'd say, actually, you're the only product that actually works and does what it's supposed to like do. Because I believe one of them said in Africa they had like these techno phones that they'd have to buy secondhand, like I said, and if they're lucky, they said roughly a year, but other than that, like 3 months, and they have to keep buying a new phone, a new phone, a new phone, and it came to a point where it was so like good that we had the Democratic Republic of Congo government actually seek us out to license.
Really?
Yeah. And then when we came to like looking down at the agreements, but obviously like the African government and so forth, right? You know how things are. Like corruption is their main driving factor. So you're just thinking, well, actually, hey, it's like, yeah, we want to work with you. We don't mind, but yeah, we don't want to be screwed over.
How are you contacted by the the Democratic Republic of Congo? Do they send you like an email? And if they do
So
they have a Gmail address, or do they have their own, like
yeah,
at
so
dprc.com or something?
some of them do. Some of them do. They do have their own Gmail, and then some of them actually connect with you, like with the actual, like the official government email address. But how I actually got connected was because my advisor, right? He
Mm-hmm.
was friends with one of the guys, and the guys was actually like childhood best friends with the current president.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be like, when he found out, he was like, set up a meeting immediately.
Ah, okay. So you were contacted in person. Because if I got
Yeah,
an email, I'd be like, yeah, right, and then I'd send it straight to the
yeah.
trash. I'd be like, yeah, I'm
Because
sure official DPRC at gmail.com. Yeah, right. Yeah.
you'd be surprised. Like I'm just like, but why Gmails, right? And then again, it's because like for us, we take pride in using our email address, whether it's a .ac or or your company name, right?
Yeah.
Email. So like you can tell, like, okay, yeah, this is official, this is legit person. But when someone messages you and say, hey, we're from so and so, and we're using a .gmail, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a scam, I'm not gonna fall for
Exactly.
this. And then later you come to see them in a person, you meet them in person somewhere, and then you find out you missed out on like a $1 billion deal just because you thought it was a scam. And you're like,
No,
damn, who really got scammed in the end?
yeah, because like I said, yeah, they don't really have the infrastructure set up
Hmm.
So a lot of them are just like, okay, well, let's cut corners. Let's just use Gmail. Only the very few at the top we get to use like the official like email addresses and so forth.
Mm.
Like, so you're just like, oh, really?
How did you find out about Hella Doge?
Oh, so uh, DSO back then it was called BitClout,
Uh-huh.
and then I believe what was it? My bod actually posted something, and then there was one of his articles that I read, and I was just like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I remember commenting, and I was like, "Oh, this is very interesting. I did not know this." Right, and then what was it? And then I ended up following him because I was like, "This guy is interesting, and he's like done so much like good things." And I didn't know he was one of the founders of Genius. And then, what was it? His next post was like, because I was growing bored of BitClout because there's very few same people you'd see on the same like global page. And then if you were on there, it was pretty much because like you're connected with like a few others, and then they've liked your post, and that's how you're able to go on the like global page. But again, he posted about Hello Doge, and I was just like, what is this website? And then when I heard about he was doing the whole point where you actually reward its users, like I think 80% of the Hello Doja coin goes back to the readers, right? And
Hmm.
those who actually use the site. I was like, actually, this is actually going to he's onto something. This is actually really great and actually more better. And he said only 20% gets to be used for like obviously your basic admin and so forth. So I signed up and used it, and this was like I think back in August
Hmm.
of last year. And I remember it was only like a few people, a few hundred people here. I can't remember how much, but like there was only like a um Jacob was on there, the guy from Keeping It Cozy, his YouTube, and then he works for was one of the media outlets. He writes for them, and then Preeti, she was on there as well. And I remember like we were all like just in a little circle, messaging and so forth, keeping each other like, "Hey, how can we get more users?" And I'd be like, "I'm gonna recruit more from your BitClout." I'm like, if I get banned from there, it's all like for a good thing, for a good cause.
I
But
found out about it because I was following this wiki this like a Instagram page that would post like cool funny Wikipedia articles, and that page would repost Mabod's story, and Mabod's Instagram name is Madoge. So I thought Mabod was I didn't know he was a person. I thought it was a meme page that just posted like memes, and then like I thought he used like I thought it was like he was like it was like Twitter screenshots from like a Samsung phone because of like the because of the font. And then
mm,
at one point, like I saw like the helladoge.com, and I was like, oh, okay, let me hop on Hella Doge and see what this is. That's what I found. I didn't even know who Mabad was until like a few months after I started using Hella Doge.
yeah, but it's grown since then. Because
Yeah,
I
it's gotten
remember
much
like
bigger.
because like I remember recruiting from BitClout, and then you get a few of the people are just like, I actually prefer yeah using Hello Dojo for yeah BitClout, and they've made the full on transition.
Hmm.
So I'm like, this is great. I'm like, woo-hoo, more sign-ups.
Yeah, I think a few months back they passed 100,000 signups, right?
Yeah, because I think it's linked to the Mastodon site, right? Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the like back end thing. But it's like so great because again, even on Hello Doge, you get like a few of the other like users who have ideas or like if they need pointers, they actually message me, and I'm just like, all right, connect with me on LinkedIn, and like just like tell me like you know what's currently going on, and I can help advise.
Yeah, that's from Hella Doge. I've linked people on like Instagram and LinkedIn. I don't even use LinkedIn that much. I just go on it because I get like 1,000 notifications a month from LinkedIn to tell me to check something. And it's like
Oh,
everybody takes themselves so seriously on LinkedIn. And it's like you guys know this is just a social media site, right? And they're like proud to say that blah 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 blah. And they have like a whole like wall of text. I'm like, wow, guys. Like I thought I'm gonna look like an asshole just posting memes, you know?
No, but that's the thing though. It's become a bit mixed. So you do get people that post memes, and yeah, and they're like people with like what, like 40,000 followers, and you know they're proper like influencers on on LinkedIn and so forth.
Imagine
But it's good
telling
because then
someone you're a LinkedIn influencer.
yeah, because like
For a
the only
while, what I was
person
doing was I was posting like satirical posts. Like I would take those like proud to say I finally got my first internship, blah blah blah, and I would make like really I'd just like do a satire like, oh, I'm proud to say I'm finally an intern at this place. You know,
and watch likes and
after
comments right
completing
in.
my internship, it was amazing working for 16 hours a day for no pay because the experience was great. I remember almost dying of dehydration. I just
Oh
like
man,
kind of just taking the piss at all these posts.
yeah. But the one thing I would say though, because like I think I mentioned it like a few times, right? And then with LinkedIn, because I did get at a point where like I did have like a few hundreds of like recruiters reach out, and then all of a sudden they're recruiting for my company. I'm like, yeah, I didn't. I'm not hiring. Why are you hiring on my behalf? And then there's actually and there's actual candidates that reach out to connect with me, like, hey, so and so is hiring. For this position for your company. I just want to personally reach out and see if we can like catch up. I'm like, and it kind of, it's up to you to say like, I take my time and take like time out of my day to say, hey, we're actually not hiring, but thanks for bringing it to my attention. Like, it was actually this person and so forth. And then it's just so crazy the lengths that recruiters will go to.
Why would someone do that in the
I
first
don't
place?
know. And I remember the other day, right? I can't remember which user commented, and they were talking about LinkedIn, and I was saying, "Hey, this is like my experience, right?" And I kid you not, that when I thought it was all over, right? Again, what was it? One of the Hello Doge users was commenting about LinkedIn, right? And I
Hmm.
remember I was telling them about my experience. I'm like, yeah, these recruiters like just randomly recruiting on behalf of my company, and you get like the potential candidates actually physically reaching out to connect, and there were actual real individuals and so forth, not like the bot people. And then next thing you know, when I thought it was all like safe and clear, that week again, it was just like filtering through and just telling people like, no, not hiring, no, like who sent you this? Like, where did this information come from? Again, all of that just came back.
What do these people gain from doing this?
I don't know. I've honestly have asked myself that same question. I think they're hoping that hey they'd succeed in probably building a connection with me and like my company, and then maybe if we do hire, then they'd be the one that's awarded the job, right?
Hmm.
Awarded the contract, say, hey, actually, you can start like recruiting for my company. You earn X amount. When in reality, I'm like, no, not after you've like done it this way, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes me question if they're doing that to me, who else are they doing that to?
It must be, I mean, must be thousands of these people.
Yeah, it must be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, Shanaz, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time out, especially since we've had, so much difficulty in our schedules.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know last time like we had to like reschedule, and then it was like a conflict on my end with the whole scheduling conflict. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
reminded me of the day. I was like, oh my gosh, let me like apologize because it's never happened. I was just like, because I make time when I do things in advance. I'm like, no, I have to follow it through. And then when that happened, I was just like, yeah, it's actually
Yeah, I
something
mean,
major.
well, I'm glad that we were able to do it. It was really insightful speaking to you.
Yeah, and likewise.